Hello, fellow horror fiends, and welcome to The Horror Within Me, a podcast dedicated to the world of horror. Join us each week as our host explores a new, horrifying topic from the many realms of horror, such as film, television, and more, and returns to tell us his terrifying revelations. So sit back, relax, and get ready to face the horrors within.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of The Horror Within Me. I'm your host, Eric, and it is a brand new spooky Sunday, but it's a different kind of Sunday than we're used to because this week I'm not going to be by myself. I have invited my good friend Jenny, who is also a horror fiend, to help me do a review on one of my favorite movies from the horror movie world, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but the 2003 remake. There's so many Texas Chainsaw movies out there, so it has to be very specific that it's going to be only on the 2003 remake, and we're not going to be discussing many of the other ones. But I wanted to say hi, Jenny. Are you there?
Hey, thanks for having me,
Hi.
Eric. I'm excited. Thanks for
Yes.
having me on your podcast this week.
Well, I mean, it's nice to hear your voice that isn't a pre-recorded introduction. This, everyone, Jenny is the introducer? I don't know. Of the podcast every week, so it's good to have her on. But this is not going to be much different than our normal content. I'm going to go over the synopsis. We're going to go over some ratings, some starring roles, and our thoughts on the movie. And obviously, Terror Trivia is still here, so
Woo.
Everything's still the same. I'm excited. Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
Okay. I like that we don't sound like forced and fake, too. You ever listen to some podcasts and like, yeah, I am excited, Eric? You know?
Oh, yay.
Oh,
Goody.
shucks. So, I specifically chose the Texas Chainsaw Massacre for two reasons. One, it's a classic, and the remake is my favorite entry just because of when it came out. I was about 17. And for another reason, it's summertime. The heat, it's very fitting in the atmosphere of summer. It was like based in August or whatever. So we are going to jump in right away and start with the synopsis that is from the IMDb website. And it says, after picking up a hitchhiker, 5 friends find themselves stalked and hunted by a deformed chainsaw-wielding loon and his family of equally psychopathic killers. First off, before we move forward, I'm mad that they put the word loon in the synopsis. I feel like Leatherface can be described as more than a deformed chainsaw-wielding loon. Who wrote this?
What a goof. This guy with his chainsaw.
Oh, shucks again. The movie is directed by Marcus Spiel, and it stars Jessica Biel, Jonathan Tucker, I can't say his name, Bernarski, Erica Learson, Mike Vogel, Eric Balfour, and R. Lee Ermey. Now, obviously, everyone knows who Jessica Biel is. She's married to Justin Timberlake. She starred in the WB 90s show, Seventh Heaven. She was in so much. You know Jessica Biel from, obviously, besides Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right?
Yes, so many things. She guest starred in New Girl one episode. I really liked that one.
I didn't watch New Girl. She was in this other show that was on USA, and I am so drawing a blank, but it was really good. She was only in the first season.
I know what you're talking about. The Sinner or whatever.
The Sinner, yes. That was a great show.
Amazing show.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. And then it looks like if anyone recognized the character that played Leatherface or his name, he actually played Zangief in the Street Fighter movie from 1994, and that's just a little geek moment for me because I didn't even know that when I was doing my research on the film. I was like, oh, wow, that's super cool. So Street Fighter, everyone knows what Street Fighter is, right? Chun-Li, Ryu. You've played video games, right?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I thought
Street Fighter? My goodness. Well, then again, you were 1 when Street Fighter came out, the movie. So maybe let's move past that. So the IMDb rating is a 6.2 out of 10 and a 38% in Rotten Tomatoes, which I'm upset about. I'm a little upset about it. But it grossed $107 million domestic on a budget of $9.5 million, which is not like significantly more money that they got back. Do you know what I mean? So it seems like it didn't do too well. But fun fact about this movie is that it's the first film produced by Platinum Dunes, which I didn't know either. And Platinum Dunes produced movies like the remakes to Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. It produced both Quiet Place films. So and the Purge movie. So it's cool that the first one was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I think that they were trying to stick with the remakes because if you think about it, Texas remake, Nightmare on Elm Street remake, Friday the 13th, none of them did that well. So, and that's funny because next week we will be doing I'll be doing a podcast on the Friday the 13th remake. So fun fact, Platinum Dunes, we're gonna hear your name twice within 2 weeks. But that's just a little background. I didn't want to do too much because usually it's just me, but I really want to spend time with you and get your thoughts because we always have me and mine. So I really just want to, I know it was the first time you had seen the movie last weekend when we watched it, correct?
Yeah. I thought I had seen it, and then we realized that I had actually just watched like a different movie with just a different character from Seventh Heaven, and it was the dude.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how I got that confused, but yeah.
Oh, the brother?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my God, I forgot about him.
But yeah,
I don't even know his name. Was his name Eric in the show?
I don't remember.
But
This was my first time watching this one, and
okay.
I really did enjoy it. It was really fun and weird and
2003.
very 2003, which was hilarious because it was supposed to take place in the 70s, right? But it was like,
I don't know if the remake was supposed to take place in the 70s. I don't think it was. Was it? Maybe it was. No, yeah, it was. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
it definitely was the 70s because of the music and the concert.
Right, yeah, they're going to go see Skinnerd, right?
Yeah, Leonard Skinnerd or Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah, but it just killed me that it was like, you know, Jessica Biel and her low-rise jeans and like...
That's all I think about is you and her issue with the low... But I can't unsee it. And I just want to do a preface real quick. This movie came out in 2003. We're talking almost 20 years ago. So this specific podcast, we're going to review it, but we're also going to talk about it. There are going to be spoilers because it's a 20-year-old movie. So you've had 20 years to see it. So we're going to discuss it in great detail. So, low-rise jeans, tied up white tee, a lot of wet scenes. I did not put that together until you guys. And that's so fun when you watch scary movies with your friends because they make you see things a different way.
I love the running commentary the whole time. It makes it for me. Especially when there's things that are like pretty goofy. Like, what was it? The guy got hung up on a chandelier and just chainsawed right to the crotch. Like that's a special way to kill someone.
I love the creative kills in horror movies. That's one of the fun things that we do for horror, you know, that we go to see the kills. If everyone just died all generically, it wouldn't be as fun. You know what I mean? Can you imagine watching Halloween Kills and all Michael did was choke people to death all the time?
It's very true. Yeah, that'd be lame.
Yeah. He killed like 57 people in that movie. And imagine if everyone was a strangulation because the budget was small or something. Like, same thing like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know what I did notice? And I don't know. I didn't look too much into it, but I want to ask your opinion. Mm-hmm. Do you remember? I can't remember too much blood.
That's really true, actually. I feel like there was a lot of dust and there was a lot of water, specifically on, again, Jessica Biel's white tank top. But other than that, yeah, everything was like dripping with water.
Yeah, I mean, there was obviously when he cut the dude's leg off, there was some blood, but even then, like there wasn't pools and she blew her head off. Let's talk about the opening scene.
Yeah.
We have to talk about the opening scene. We're going to backtrack a little bit. Opening scene with the hitchhiker. Now, obviously, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a remake to the 1974 classic, which I do own, and I'm ashamed to say that I own it, and I think I've watched it once. I'm a bad person. I have to watch it again, but it's so low budget, it was hard for me to watch. But as I'm older, I'm more appreciative of the like the way that film was made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in the original, the hitchhiker they pick up was crazy and a part of the quote unquote family. So this was a little twist where the hitchhiker they picked up was a survivor who had such set on PTSD that she had put a gun in her crotch, which I wonder who thought that up. Do you know what I mean? Like, and all I can think of you is Did she just pull a gun out of it?
She's wearing this tiny little sundress, walking around on the side of the road, and the next thing you see is like blood on her inner thigh, and she's holding a gun. And I was like, I'm sorry, is there a continuity issue here, or did she just pull a gun out of her vagina?
But like a revolver.
Yeah, too. Like a big fucking gun.
It wasn't even like a purse gun.
No, it was quite large. But I don't know. Yeah.
So did you scope out, though, that when the demented sheriff came to take the body and they found the gun, he put it in his... But he also put it in his holster on his ankle that was empty, which means that she stole his gun.
That's so clever. I didn't realize that.
Yes. I was like, oh, little things you get to see when you watch a movie 55,000 times. But that, and then like, the thing I kept thinking about, and this is ridiculous that I pay attention to the weirdest things, I have to have some kind of something going on with my brain. The thing that bothered me the most with the hitchhiker, besides the fact that she was blowing her head off before all of that, is that her lips were so fucking chapped.
True.
They looked so dry.
They were really dry.
They were terrible dry. Yeah. And I was like, this bitch has been like out in the heat. And somebody, the makeup artist was like, chap her lips. Bad. We want to look like this bitch is, her lips are chapped, but her dress and her head is soaked with sweat. Like, I'm like, Jesus Christ. It was very odd. You know? Like,
well, the whole thing was weird. It was just bizarre. And actually now, thinking back on it, I have a question for you because I don't think I put this together properly. The kid at the end, was that her kid or was that a kid that belonged to a different family?
It was their family, so I'm guessing it was her kid, or her sibling. Or her sibling. I think it was the mother. Like, I think she was the kid, and then the mom and dad had another baby. You know how they used to do that shit back in the day? Like, 47-year-olds were still popping out kids. Like, number 15.
But, like, there was that scene in the trailer where Jessica Biel was like, that's not your kid. You stole her.
Yeah, but the picture that they found of the hitchhiker was with the hitchhiker and, like, a man and another guy and a woman and the baby. There was like an entire family. So maybe there was a sibling. But still, regardless, it was like a fucking, I don't know, a 1 or 2-year-old.
Right, which was related to the hitchhiker, and she was unable to get the kid when she ran away, I guess.
I want them to make a movie with the hitchhiker story.
Yeah, I really want to know.
I want to know how everything about it. I mean, you do all these fucking movies, and then they're like, you know what? They probably had that on the books, but they didn't because there's a sequel to that specific Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's not a sequel. I'm sorry, a prequel called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning.
Oh,
but it has nothing to do with the hitchhiker.
Weird.
It's a like whole different cast, which is actually another really good one. You should check out. It's also on Netflix. And for those of you who are wondering how to watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 remake, it's on Netflix.
Yes,
it's where you can find it. But what did you think of the way that they like the setting of Texas Chainsaw? Being is that one of your newer ones to see?
Well, I did. I mean, I've never been to Texas. I didn't expect it to be that dusty in the beginning, but I did really enjoy that they varied up the setting a little bit. It wasn't just like, these kids in a basement, you know what I mean? Like being held in this house. So there was the basement that was filled with water and also a piano for some reason and a bathtub. Then this like colonial looking house that you got to kind of go around in as well. Then the van, the like VW van, classic 70s. That was
van.
Great.
I love the van. Every time I see the van, I'm like, ooh, Texas Chainsaw van, guys.
But I did really like, they like varied it up with the desert and then like the tree area. And
I liked the house because in the original, it was just like an old farmhouse, which was super cool. But this was more like a plantation kind of thing to me.
Yeah, for certain. It definitely looked like a plantation house, but like made out of cement for some reason. And then you still got like the rickety old meat shop place.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Which apparently you had made a comment and a couple of our friends that were here on Saturday saying, why is she running to the meat plant? Why is she running like that? I read a long time ago that if you listen to the cows and everything, that it mixed in is his chainsaw. Like she heard it and she knew he was coming.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. Because we were watching it and it was like she's running through the forest. She's gotten away. Yeah. And she runs into a meat plantation and like runs among the cows and is like trying to lock doors behind her, but there's no sense that this guy is behind her whatsoever.
Yeah, and they think that that's the point, and so that's why the big jump scare when she drops down, he's there.
Yeah.
That was good. Oh, we're at halfway point of our show. We have to do the trivia question. I almost forgot.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, welcome to your first terror trivia with Eric on the Horror Within Me. And it's not so much a question, but a quote and a name that movie. Okay? So the quote is, we all go a little mad sometimes. What movie is the quote, we all go a little mad sometimes from? And I'll give you the answer before we finish. Do you have an idea at all?
For some reason, I'm thinking Alice in Wonderland.
It's more darker.
Yeah, I figured it wouldn't be.
But it definitely would. Well, Mad Hatter, I get it. I mean, there was like a Alice in Wonderland scary video game that came out with a few years ago, which was interesting.
Really?
Yeah. But, sorry. I wanted to just throw that trivia question out real quick, but I want to jump back into the Texas Chainsaw because it's such a big world. There's the new one that I wrote a blog on that came out, I believe, in February, that was a direct sequel to the original 74 one that they tried to do like a Halloween kind of vibe with. And I know we're not going to talk too much about other Texas Chainsaws, but that one was really bad. So there's so many good and bad entries in the universe of Texas Chainsaw that I'm surprised that I thought this one was a decent one. There's a lot of cheesy parts and a lot of things that didn't make sense when you start to watch it over and over again, but I think that's when you start picking. But I like that it's your first experience with it.
Yeah, I mean, as far as classic, slasher type movies go, it hits all those cliches, right? There's the final girl, the so many chase scenes, the hiding, and the like walking by through slits in the door. Like,
yes,
it's good.
So it hit the mark, and that's what people need to realize. It's a horror movie, a slasher horror movie. I can't stand when they try to do a slasher movie or something and they just completely miss the mark. Like you mentioned, all the stuff that I wait and look for. I don't care. It needs to be in every movie. I want to see epic chase scenes.
Yep. The jump scares, always. What's the slasher without a few jump scares?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was one of my favorite chase scenes ever is Helen from I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's just iconic. And it was one of the longest chase scenes too. It's just a great chase scene. But can you imagine if there was no chase scenes anymore? Like they just keep doing all these elevated fucking movies all the time? We have to have the cheesy Texas Chainsaws.
You have to. Otherwise it builds the suspense. And like I get the cool, like nuanced thriller-esque plot points where it's
absolutely
like drama, but I want to see the running. I want to see the panting and turning over and the stumbling, and you're like, no.
Yeah, it's like when they're in the van and he shows up wearing her boyfriend's face. Like, come on, can you imagine?
you imagine? Oh my gosh, that was terrifying. Because he was cutting off the face, and you're just waiting to see it on the killer later.
I only wish that they would have elaborated her realizing it was her boyfriend more, because I feel like they show that she recognized or looked at him, and then when she's in the trailer, she's like, I didn't see his face. I'm like, what do you mean? You fucking did.
Yeah, that's really true. She should have been some mention of it, right?
Yeah, and the ladies in the trailer were so weird. The sisters or whatever, the big one and the skinny one.
Yeah. That was really disturbing. And they just immediately had poison ready? That was odd.
Yeah, they're just always ready to fucking hunt down. But I just found out, I watched on Shudder the other day. I'm so behind. I just got Shudder, and I saw the 2022 Chainsaw Awards, the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards, where they celebrate all the movies throughout the 2021 season of horror movies. And they did like an in memory portion of it, and the lady, the bigger lady, passed away last year.
Oh no.
Yeah, so rest in peace to her, But I was like, oh, I used to say her line all the time. I'm like, oh my, all the time. It just, yeah. So yeah, sadly she has passed on. So I thought I'd share that with you because we just watched the movie.
Yeah,
and the sisters are in the prequel too, the beginning movie. I told you about they're in that too. Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
I have to take that.
I forget. Did you say you've seen another Texas Chainsaw, or is this your first ever Texas Chainsaw?
I definitely saw one a long, long time ago where they went into it was mostly in the house.
That's probably the beginning.
Maybe it was. I don't remember. I just remember, obviously lots of chainsaw killings.
Chainsaws terrify me, by the way.
I don't think I could ever use one as a yard tool after watching these movies. I'm just convinced.
No, or being chased by them in these haunted attractions.
Very true.
I can't handle it. I don't like it.
I do have to say I was very gratified when he tripped and fell on his chainsaw a little bit.
Oh, that's good.
You're like, yeah, dude, it hurts. This is what you're doing to people. Gosh.
Yeah, and then it's so he's obviously a mentally challenged man with deformities.
Do you think the family has just convinced him to be a violent person? He's not verbal. He doesn't say anything. Well, right? Maybe. I mean, none of the other... Yeah, the family dynamics were not, clearly explained.
So that's the beauty of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is that Leatherface is not our only antagonist. His whole family is fucking cannibals. Right. And they're all deranged. So you're not just running from Leatherface. He's just, lack of a better word, their go get him boy.
Yeah, he's the one. I mean, they all have their weapons, like the poison. The sheriff had his gun. I guess the father in the wheelchair was doing his darndest to at least trip up the blonde guy or hold Jessica Biel.
And the mom at the gas station. They're the whole town is them.
Yeah, they own all the businesses. I wonder how that works out for them.
Yeah, God, I know, but isn't that just creepy? That's one of my worst fears is I think of if I'm set in a horror setting of classic horror movies, what would be my one that I'd be the scared of the most? And I think it would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because it's not just Leatherface.
Yeah, it's the whole town.
Yeah, if you go in to get help, first I ain't drinking nobody's fucking tea. I just got chased down, and you're sitting here he's not gonna hurt you. Okay, I'm leaving.
First of all, lies.
Yeah, he just tried to kill me.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing fucking tickle me. Oh no. And they were strange. And at that point, you should have realized there's something wrong. First, we should have something was wrong when he walked into that dirty ass deli gas station. Right.
That was disgusting. I also really enjoyed how they're we need to call the police. And she's like, I'll call them. What happened? And
yeah.
Well,
what
I guess
you do
I take it for granted.
Is your own business. It's what?
I just can't imagine that. I mean, I obviously have grown up in the age of cell phones, but I can't imagine asking someone to call someone for me and them not give me the phone. You know what I mean?
I do. You know what else I've realized is back when I first started watching the movie, when I first came out in 2003, I was all about Jessica Biel's character. I'm she's got a good moral compass, blah, 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 blah. Watching it last weekend, I'm all the fuck about Morgan.
Which one's Morgan?
The one with the glasses that got cut in half, cut with his cock off.
He was the nicest.
The only one who's let's leave her. She's already dead. Or I don't want to do this. Nobody else was listening.
All the best moves, when he turned the gun on the sheriff.
Yes,
that was a smart move.
Even then, Pepper's fucking shoot him, Morgan. And then you got Jessica, the character Aaron, saying, don't shoot him, Morgan. He just shot rounds at your fucking head for fun.
like a second ago. Like, why are you what?
And here's my thing. Okay. You got chased out of a house by a guy in a chainsaw and your friend didn't follow with you, so he's probably dead. Then you got a fucking weird cop blowing rounds at your fucking head, making you get in the dirt, doing weird shit. You don't think that he's a part of it?
Right? Like, he was so not alarmed when she was like, he's dead, he's being murdered. And he's like, okay, we'll talk about that in a minute.
He's like, okay, but whose fucking goddamn weed is this?
Oh, yeah, the tiniest half of a joint. This is the pressing matter at hand.
So she kind of was stupid.
Yeah, no, she definitely was like the too innocent girl that like definitely had to die, or had to.
It's the perfect storm of a horror movie that if you want to take it out of context and throw all the rules out, she just got lucky to survive.
Oh, yeah. The hitchhiking girl, which that bothered me in the synopsis. They were not friends. They made it very clear in the beginning that it was the four of them were friends, and then
they picked her up.
Yeah, she said she knew them for 19 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
She also was like, I'm out of here. I don't want to do this. I definitely want to leave. Like, I'll find someone else to hitchhike with. Like, everyone else would have bailed.
The only thing I will say to Jessica Biel's character, to Aaron, the character of Aaron, is I would not have left my boyfriend. We don't know what was going on at that point.
That's very true. Yes, but
they were like, let's just go. It's weird out here. Okay. This is before they ran into the chainsaw. This is before they went back to the house. So I'm like, I'm not fucking leaving. Like, he could be lost.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to think that he was attacked and murdered. They're like, I'm leaving. Give me the keys. And we're taking his van and driving away.
Yes.
And leaving him. That was weird.
Well, it was also just very strange that they split up anyway. Like, what the fuck is this, Scooby-Doo? Like,
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We got a family of fucking psychopaths.
Like, they met the tiny boy and saw his, like, bone art. You knew this was not the place to be.
The fucking guy with the teeth. What's your name?
Jedediah.
I love Jedediah.
Yeah.
Grandma, don't hurt her.
There were no repercussions for that little kid, like, helping them out. I wonder what happens to him in the future.
Was he somebody else's kid?
That's a really good question too.
Was it like who's? It probably was one of the sisters, right? It wasn't great because she was saying grandma.
That's true, but I mean, like, they could have just taken him in, like
they could have taken him in, like the baby. But
do you think they have like an age requirement for how old you have to be eaten?
I guess your meat's maybe they don't eat veal. I don't know. Let me get a rack of lamb.
Cook me a roast lamb, please.
Oh, Jesus. But no, I really love the movie. It's got a special place for me because, like I said, I saw it when I was 17 and saw it in the theaters, and I remember getting it. I got the collector's edition DVD when it was released, and it came in a nice special case, and it came with like, I wish I still had it. I had some of them. I try to hold on to as long as possible, but I've had so much moves in my life. But it had like an envelope that said evidence, and it had pictures of stuff from the movie as like a cool like collector's item from it. It was so cool. It had a metal tin frame of the cover. It was so cool. It was like my favorite Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was the second one I've seen aside from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation, which I showed you the trailer for with Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey.
Yes.
Which we still have to watch anyway.
We do.
Don't care.
I mean, seeing Matthew McConaughey in a role that just, in my opinion, is probably what his personality is like when
it is. Like, there's a thing that I do, and there's a group that I was on called, I'm in on Facebook, I talk about all the time, and somebody posted the other day, name a quote from a horror movie and see if anyone can get it. Nobody got mine because I'm like, you're not going to get it. It was that. And he says in the movie somewhere, and it's not iconic, which is why nobody get it, but he's like, it ain't no fucking Biggie, and that just sticks in my head. I was like 14 when I fucking saw this. I'm almost 36 in a week and a half. Still plays in my head, okay? But it was I liked it. I like it. We have to watch it. But the 2003 remake I thought was amazing. And any final thoughts before we go to our rating system for the movie?
No, I was glad to watch it. It was like a cult classic, right? It
Yeah,
was
I
a
think so.
modern rendition, mildly modern, 2003 rendition of a classic chainsaw storyline with all the little things that you want in a scary movie this movie had.
Exactly. All right. So we are at the hour of wrapping up the episode. So what I'm gonna do is I will do the trivia question answer first, and then we'll
Yes.
go on and we'll do rating. And I would like to do special. I would invite you to adopt my rating method and then give your own rating and explanation on why. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay. So the quote again for the terror trivia is, "We all go a little mad sometimes." Any final guesses? I can give you one clue. It's a very old classic horror movie.
I really can't think of anything that it would be.
Okay. It's Psycho.
Ah, that makes so much sense.
Yes.
I'm
Norman
excited to
Bates.
get that. Nice.
Yes. I wonder if any of you got it. Leave a comment if you got it before I said it. All right. So for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, for those of you, if this is your first episode, every week, whatever movie or show or whatever we're reviewing, I pick an item or something within that universe to use as a rating system. Instead of stars, we do different things. So I'm going to just be very generic and be very obviously spot on with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We're going to rate it with chainsaws. It's the only way to do it. So, for the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, I personally give it 8 out of 10 chainsaws. I haven't given a single 10 out of 10 chainsaw or 10 rating yet. And the reason behind that 8 out of 10 is the unfinished parts of the movie, in my opinion. Like I said, I wish there would have been more emphasis with her in the face of her boyfriend. I wish that there would have been a little bit more understanding of the sisters and Jedediah and who they all were to each other. I know they were all family, but there was a lot of unanswered stuff and a little bit more. If the hitchhiker was walking down the road, that means her family was just recently killed. I wish that there would have been more of discovery of their bodies along the way.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That would have been cool.
So that's my rating. So I'm going to pass it over to my guest, Jenny, our honored, always welcome back guest, Jenny, who's at the beginning of every episode. Jenny, how many chainsaws out of 10 do you give the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and why?
You know what? I'm going to do 7.5. I think your critiques are really, really valid. And I have to just add, as much as I loved making fun of it, I do have a problem with the horrible cliche of let's make this woman run around with no bra and a white t-shirt in water for some reason. That's everywhere. Everywhere in Texas, apparently, is just flooded.
There's no drought.
Sprinkler systems on everything, and then it'll start pouring rain. And it was a little overdone for me in that respect. Like, I get it. You need to have that sexiness factor in those old scary movies, but like, let's give her a break or a more supportive bra.
I agree, and I have to drop mine to a 7.5 as well too, because I forgot about that. And you're right, it's overdone.
Yeah.
Like the basement was filled with water. She's soaked. It's downpouring when she leaves the meat company, and she's soaked. She's sprinkler system, and yes, it was overdone, and it obvious reasons why.
Yeah, I just they didn't even give her a chance to dry at all ever once she was wet. Just half the movie. It's just a wet Jessica Biel.
Wet Jessica Biel with the blood. She had a bloody nose. That was about the much blood that I remember seeing in the movie.
That was something else that I thought of after watching that movie. Was at least now with these final girls, they've got like a vendetta or like emotional scars. Definitely at least a physical scar. They wield a weapon. They she was definitely just.
And looks like we lost Jenny, but she was just finishing her quote. But yes, that concludes this week's episode of The Horror Within Me. If you want more content, you can find me over at thehorrorwithinme.com. Oh, Jenny, you back? Oh, good. It went out. I was concluding because I thought you were gone. I was like, oh, we lost Jenny, but I'm going to end the show. But I am going to end the show, but I want to be able to say goodbye to you. So I'm glad you're back. Thank you for joining me today. It is always nice to have another person to bounce ideas off of and reviews and experiences with. You are welcome back anytime. Anything you want to promote or say to anyone? Anything you're doing? Any movies you want to send out there that you want to recommend?
You know what? Not right now. I didn't think to prepare anything like that, but that was a really good question. But I do want to say thank you so much for having me. This is always very fun. And if it includes the fact that I get to watch the scary movie with you beforehand and make some fun cocktail, mocktail with black glitter in it stuff, anytime.
Yes. Yes. Those of you listening, Jenny is the spooky shaker of all things horror movie related cocktails. She will create anything, and not just cocktails, because I personally don't drink, so she is awesome at mocktails as well. So if you want some recipes, we can upload them to the website. We're going to create a page for Jenny's spooky shakers or something. I don't know. Come up with a name. We'll think of something. But yes, Jenny, it is always a pleasure. And if you want more Horror Within Me content, as I was saying before, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok to stay up to date. And that is it. Again, as always, stay spooky, everybody. Bye.